This episode of Mission Star Podcast is brought to you by Anime 3000, scattercomics.com, and also My Dark Dreams at deviantart.com, where you can buy pixelated bead art as well as other cosplay materials. Let's go check out the sponsors and enjoy the show.
Mission start.
It is the week, or actually, this is like May 1st.
Lying bastard.
It's May 1st. Oh my god. No, it's actually, we are actually doing this on schedule, which is awesome for the first time in about a month or two. I'm your host, Anthony Bionis. With me, I got my my usual bodyguard, the man with the oversized arms. I don't know. Alex.
Yes, the oversized arms. That's what it is.
I do hire you to protect me at anime cons, so I have to say something out there.
Yeah, you still owe me back pay, motherfucker.
And with us, normally it would be the seated, where Nate would be here, but instead we have a special guest. And the special guest is...
This is Brandon Perry, a local video game blogger, freelance journalist, that sort of nature, coming in to be a special guest.
Yep. And it's funny how I met you, too. Who would have known I would have found you through the local school newspaper at our college about a game review.
Guerrilla marketing at its best.
Yes. And if you guys... I highly suggest you guys check out his website. Was it 999hitpoints.wordpress.com? He runs his own review video game website, kind of like us, but more or less. It looks good. It looks pretty good.
It's professional?
Yep, I cover reviews,
Because that we don't
any
have.
outstanding news, and pretty much anything else I pretty much think about. And I'm uninhibited.
Yes. The early heydays of game journalism. Alright. Well.
Yeah, we know something about uninhibited here.
Yeah. Well, with that, we shall begin. So, anybody want to go first as far as what's been playing or watching? Alright. Okay. I guess I'll go first then. So let's see. Lately, as far as games that I've been playing, lately it's been a few things here and there. I mean, I have gotten back to Mass Effect 2. I'm almost beating the game. I'm almost there. I got like a couple of I think 200 people left to pick up. And then after that, do their loyalty missions, and so far, I mean, it's I'm still loving it. I'm still taking my time with it, and I was going through, was it like kind of like one of them I didn't quite got a connection as far as like the side missions, than the other ones. Like, was it Jack? I was going through her side mission, and it just I didn't feel that real connection I had with the Morden mission I talked about last time, and it just it felt like kind of she's a crazy bitch, then this is what happened to her, and then it makes sense, but it's like there wasn't no emotional connection I could really connect to her, like the other ones I did so far.
Perhaps because you don't like her. I don't.
Well, it's not well.
Well, not really, anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, she is pretty good close range, like, a fighter, but like, yeah, maybe because I don't.
I mean, as a character.
I know what I'm saying. Like, as a character, I kind of maybe it is. I kind of don't like her, kind of not, just because she's. I don't know. Well, other the fact that she's a little crazy, but I don't know. I don't know. Probably because I haven't spent enough time getting to know her better as I have with Miranda.
No, she's just a bitch.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. She's a bitch. She's been through some shit, but she's a bitch.
It was funny too. Like one part, like it was that part like where Jack was in a argument with whatever love interest he had at the moment, and it was with me with Miranda, and I was kind of sitting there, and it was like for like I think like 3 minutes straight trying to figure out what to say between the both of them to calm, or to agree with one of them, and then I was like agree with Jack or agree with Miranda. So what I did is I agree with Jack because like she's the type of person you don't want to piss off after you just helped her kind of destroy her own memories of, or kind of her giving closure to herself as far as what happened to her in the past. And also probably not the type of person you want to piss off that's on board your ship too. So what I did is I agreed with Jack, and then Miranda got pissed at me. So then later on I talked to Miranda and I told her like, look, you're wrong in this one. You were being an asshole to her, so know your place, bitch. And then she was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. It was more or less I just
know that if you have enough intimidate or persuade, you can actually go through that without having to agree to even.
Yeah, I could have, but I didn't have enough. I guess I didn't have enough Paragon in my area, I guess. But more or less, I went back and I told her, and she was like, okay, she understood like after a while. So it was just kind of funny that that's kind of like one of the major decisions I had to make so far. I'm pretty sure I'll make some bigger ones later on when I get towards the end of the game. So I've been playing that. I think the other day I just got through the passing on Left 4 Dead 2, which is really short actually compared to the other Left 4 Dead 2 maps. And man, God, it sucks that they didn't say nothing about Bill and how he died. Oops, spoiler, right?
If you haven't seen his corpse, you know now.
Yeah, like there's no explanation. There's no like cinematic. There's nothing. There's nothing as far as explaining how he died. All you know is you go up to the bridge, you see Lewis, Francis, and Zoe on it. Lewis is somehow injured for some reason. And you get a discussion as far as they're going to open up and protect you while you get the gas cans to make the gate go down again. It's really short, although the finale is very fucking hard if you don't have a good enough team to survive. I swear to God, the last match, I was lucky to even be alive because my teammates keep reviving me with the reverb, and they saved my ass so many times, and like they were throwing all kinds of shit at us. They were throwing 2 tanks at one time. They were throwing a smoker. They were throwing a jockey. They were throwing all types of like enemies at us. We barely got there alive. By the time I was alive, I was limping to the car, but then with nothing but with a katana in my hands. So it was fun.
How do you run out of ammo? It's like right there next to the generator.
I didn't run out of ammo. I died, and then they revived me back up, and I was like limping to safety with an One katana because I must have dropped my gun when I was revived. So, but yeah, I mean it's short, but it's fun. I mean, like I do want to go back and play it a bit more because there is a lot of Easter eggs in the game talking about like any zombie reference like in the past 5 years. They got a Frank West like reference in one of the walls that they're talking about, and then they also have like something about Plants vs Zombies, and they got some good stuff. I do want to go back, want to read and check out and find, but yeah, I mean like it's short, but I like it. I just can't wait for the Left 4 Dead 1 DLC on how they got to the bridge, and maybe some closure on how Bill died. Seriously. And then
I thought Lewis was a little too optimistic about making a jump.
yeah, really. And here he has a broken
Hey, it's
leg.
the second floor. I can make it crack.
Lewis. Yeah. And as far as any other games, as I'm trying. Oh, that's right. The last game I've been playing recently is StarCraft 2 beta, and I've been playing the shit out of that game. Oh, it's so good. Okay. So I have to say, I think I might have played at least 12 to 13 matches already, and for a little while I've been using my friend's account until recently they announced that anybody who pre-orders StarCraft 2 will get the beta code with the receipt they get at GameStop. So I did that, went home, put the code in, started playing immediately, and yeah, I mean like there's been a new update on the beta where now they're letting players make their own maps with the map editor tool, which was pretty big in the StarCraft 1 days. And I've been playing the shit out of it, and I'm trying out any of the custom maps yet that players have made. But I'm just doing majority of one-on-one matches, playing my favorite race, the Protoss, and just kind of going through the motions, learning the new units and the new tactics and how everything was made. I have to say, the mothership is fucking win. When you summon that mothership, it comes down, and like it's slow moving, but you can make her faster. But when she comes down, like she just like rains hell upon whoever's on the ground. A fucking beam of death just goes at them. It's like, oh, it's so good.
Satisfying.
Yes, it is. It is. And then recently they announced the special edition of StarCraft 2, which means that it's close to coming out. If they already announced the special edition pictures and all of what it looks like, so I'm hoping either one, it's coming out in June next month, or two, it's coming out in the summer, which I kind of predicted this past year. So, but I've been loving StarCraft 2. The graphics, they look great. They look better. The controls are feel exactly it was on StarCraft 1. Hotkeys are still name of the game. You know, as long as you know that and you're very fast at building your shit, depending on what type of player you are, it all matters in the game. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. But yeah. As far as the animes I've been watching, I'm still keeping up with the usual 3 or 4. I've been keeping up. I got back to Bleach because it's back to the manga finally. So I'm like, yay, finally, no more fillers. I swear to God.
Good.
I swear to God, it not better go back to the fillers, because if it does, I would be pissed. Because it was what, at least 100 episodes, I think, into this like second, third round of fillers they had to go to before they get to the manga back. So I'm hoping that it just finishes the rest of the story, because I know right now I think it's nearing the end in the manga for Bleach. So yeah. And then let's see, the other animes I've been keeping up with, the usual K-On, the Moblob anime that everybody seems to love. Season 2, that's right. By the time you hear this, you're already like at the 4th or 5th episode already. Let's see, watching. Okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna try and get this right. Do raw. Did I get that right? Did I miss a raw?
No,
Or
one too many raw.
okay, at least I got the pronunciation
Rah,
right.
rah, rah.
I do. I think the last time I talked about it, like they were in their first season, and like the end of it, and right now they're into their second season. Their intro is just as good as the first one. I do love how they did it. And the ending is just as, like, overall the quality is still high. Like the anime is still good. Like I predicted, there is this new type of anime that is popping up. But they incorporated well into the story to where it's very streamlined. Like it's very, like you don't feel like it's being forced upon you. And It's the same high quality stuff as you saw in the first 12 episodes, and I'm liking what they've been doing. So, man, it's good. It's a really good anime. If you guys haven't seen it, it's totally guys should go check it out. Um, yeah, it's just yeah, it's great.
I like how the one guy is like, I love you. He's like taking that blade.
Oh,
and putting it all
yeah.
over.
Yeah, I have a
Shizuru just rips off a car door and just rams it right into the guy's face.
yeah. I have a prediction who that is as far as like because the new enemy, the slasher, is what they call it. I have a prediction that who that actually is as far as that the spirit because it's what it is doing is pretty much at least what I'm predicting is that it's taking over anybody that within its range or like whoever I guess is alone and it's taking over their bodies and like going around and trying to um what I've seen so far I mean like killing people but also I'm guess looking for somebody and then the person often comes on the chat room and like talks about cutting people and some about his mom or her mom or whoever it is. I have a prediction and I'm saying this right now. I'm gonna lay this prediction right now before the end of the series is. I predict that the person or the soul of the slasher is actually Honoree's friend that disappeared long ago. I'm putting that prediction out there. I think that's really who that entity is of the slasher. Just a gut feeling.
I thought that was the girl who got the thing with the head.
No, that wasn't her. No, it was no, because like when Honoree went over and
Are you sure?
yeah, because remember like in the early episodes, Honoree went and thought she saw her, but she turned her around and it wasn't her. It was like some other person. And she just mistaken for her. It wasn't the same person that she thought. So I'm predicting that her friend that was still like gone missing or disappeared is actually a slasher. I may be wrong, but I'm putting that prediction out there.
You could just check the light novels.
That is
Some translations out there somewhere.
that is true, but I'm too lazy.
You don't want to instantly be proved wrong, now do you?
Yes, as far as what the anime is right now, I like the quality and I like how the style is. It's still kept even with the first 12 episodes. Yeah, I just don't want to be proven wrong, and also I'm too lazy to read the translation. But yeah, I want to see how this turns out with the anime version. You see the animes. Angel Beats. I've been keeping up with. It's kind of a mixed feelings about it. I mean, like I like the art style. I do like how it is. Like some of the animations are really well done. But some of them isn't. For those of you who haven't know what Angel Beats is, it's like basically if you take like Haruhi and then you mix it together with say what's that anime that Nate was watching? Love and Eyes or whatever the hell that was, where like the supernatural shit was going on. Anyways, if you like combine that and with like supernatural shit, and then the side of in layman's terms, it's like this group of high schoolers are dead, but they're not like dead as in like in heaven or anything like that. They're like kind of in limbo, and they're fighting against like this angel or like this quiet girl who like descended from God, and they're fighting to stay alive, quote unquote, because like in their world like they don't really die. Like they just kind of, if they do die, they'll just like respawn at the at the school. So the rules of death doesn't really apply here. But like the angel's like the only person so far as I can see that can literally can kill them or like can make them go to heaven or whatnot. So I do like their slogan though. They're the forces that fight against God or something like along those lines. So pretty much they're all atheists, which is awesome. it, it
Interesa.
um it is I mean, like I said, the art style is pretty good. Story wise, like it's um I get the premise of what it is right now, but like nothing has really developed much yet, given it's only like the fourth, fifth episode that came out. Um, you're kind of thrown into this like introduction of these characters, like in the first two, three episodes, and kind of just go with the flow, what's going on. I'm sure something will be explained later on, but it's really a mixed bag of good and bad stuff. I mean, like there has been like sightings of like in the anime episodes of like there are parts where their proportions on some of the stuff they made are like one scene is right, but for some odd reason in the next scene, like now this chair is now beneath their knees, or like it is not proportionally right. So there are some mistakes that are kind of in this anime, but it's funny how people cite this out and like think it's a bad anime, but I mean it's I have yet to give a real definite judgment on it. I mean I still want to see what happens, but nothing as far as explanation or anything is going on. I do have to say that they had this one blonde character who is apparently like he's like okay, so he has like think of what's the guy's name in Guilty
Yeah,
Gear?
red bandana.
Yeah, that guy. I do love him, man. He's the only like guy apparently American.
Axel Low, you mean?
Yeah. So like he looks like Axel Lowe from Guilty Gear, and like he has his blindfold on, and like he doesn't talk in Japanese. He talks in English, like just says random stuff, and he dances around, and he's like
Get chance and get love.
yeah, like says like some weird stuff or like some just funny like things that he says just randomly, and it's so funny. So far, he's gonna be like one of my favorite characters so far. But yeah, and then there is the mention of where one of the other characters is named Hinata, which is a dude, which I was like, yeah, yeah. Don't toward my emotions. And then I'll just mention it quick too, because I've been talking this shit a long time. I've been watching Kisses and Kaicho wa Maid Sama. Basically, one anime is about two non-related sisters in love with, or trying to get their brother to finally fall in love with them. Quote unquote, they're not blood related. And then the whole fan services on that anime, and it's like up to 5 episodes already, I think. And then the other one, Kacha Made Sama, I think is probably the first anime I realized like, wait, this is an anime towards girls.
Dude,
Yes,
don't even try to pronounce it anymore.
I know. I'm trying to. I can't.
Hold on. For those listening who actually care. Kaicho wa Maid Sama.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, me and Japanese words don't get along sometimes. But yeah, like it's when I first ran upon it, it's like I realized like, man, this is anime geared towards girls, and I was like questioning whether I should keep watching it or not, and I did. And the one thing I realized is like in this anime, this girl seems actually somebody that you can actually meet on the street. It seems to be normal, and not like these other girls in these other animes. Like it's a complete like. It's like she could have been like in the Durara series. She really could be if she really wanted to, but
Durara.
right. Do rah 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 rah. But I mean, like, yeah, right now I'm keeping up about 5, 6 animes, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of keeping up, kind of keep me pretty occupied majority of the time. But yeah, that's my short version of what I've been up to. So, all right, I'm done. Who's next?
I'm trying to think of like what I've been up to. I guess I'll start with games. Like game-wise, for the better half and the majority of since March, I've been playing Final Fantasy 13. I played it from start to finish, beat the game. I don't know where a lot of people are just getting this from, but it's not as bad as like a lot of people are saying it is. Anyone who says that it's like really linear is wrong. Sorry if anyone thinks that, because every single Final Fantasy in one shape or form is linear. This just makes it a little more obvious, but it's still an excellent game. Ask me anything. I know anything about Final Fantasy. I've been pretty much any game that I write, I end up just doing a couple articles on it on my blog. I usually finish up with a review and a final thoughts piece, and I move on to my next game. And I guess in the next couple of days, I think I'm going to be picking up Super Street Fighter 4 because I love
You
Street
son
Fighter.
of a bitch.
Unfortunately, it's going to be for PS3, so I don't know if it's going to fly too well at our local video game club at our school, since they pretty much exclusively play 360.
Nah, it's cool, dude. Like, I have a friend of mine that brings her PS3 once in a while. So yes, bring it, please.
You got the controllers to work with it, but I don't think anyone really cares.
Yeah.
Let's see, like, I don't know, it was really, like, surprising that, like, there was, like, an actual following at our school that, for one, does video games, and two, holds an actual tournament that, many different demographics of students will come and play, and, it took a year, but, I guess I'm a member of that club. I've been going there for, probably 5 weeks now, 6, 7 weeks. I hope I'm a member by now. But, yeah, I'm really excited for Super Street Fighter 4. Like, it's going to add, I think 10 more characters, a bunch of new, super combos, different tweaks, just an overall upgrade, just like any other Street Fighter that was fixed up by Capcom. And, it's going to be $39.99. So if you're a gamer on the budget, that's the one to get.
Definitely. I mean, I do like that they lowered the price for the game and not say, it's a $60 game for, an expansion. I do like that they did that. And, yes, 10 new characters and, so many good combos and added stuff they did to it. They tweaked a lot of stuff that they did in the first game as far as, who was balanced and who was unbalanced. Like, I heard, in Super Street Fighter 4, Sagat was toned down a lot just because he was such a what's the word I'm looking for? He was overused and he was overpowered in the first one.
Cheap, overpowered.
Yeah, he was, yeah. So I'm glad for that, but
Yeah, Sagat did not have as many bad matchups as someone like Guile, and good thing that Capcom paid attention to that, because as soon as I think 4 came out, within the first 2 months, when tournaments were starting up again, all I saw were people playing Sagat, Ryu, and Akuma if they were being a little reckless, but they still won. Sagat's been good ever since he's been in Street Fighter, probably since 1. I know in 2 and the 50,000 versions of 2 he was top tier pretty much, and it's good that they're paying attention and making people want to choose other characters in that, because Guile and Ken for sure, I know they were boosted up and they were made a little more viable in terms of playability, and it's not going to be just the same 5 people you have to memorize against and just go online and you're good to go. You actually have to learn to fight against a multitude of different opponents.
Yeah, and they with the characters they're bringing in from Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha, as well as two new characters are added in themselves. There were a lot of there are a lot of good characters you can use straight off the bat of Super Street Fighter 4. I mean, one of my favorites, Mocha, the tomboy girl on Street Fighter 3, Mokoto, or crap, I think I said it wrong. Yeah, like, oh, when I saw her in the in Super Street Fighter 4, it's like, oh yes, win now.
Oh no, wait, it's Makoto, I think.
Yeah. Oh, but it was seeing.
I was thinking Get.
Yeah, seeing her, seeing Dudley in it, seeing Ibuki in it. Ah, it's just. Oh, man, it got me so more excited for Super Street Fighter 4. On top of the other characters that they added in.
I'll take the Ninja Girl, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like off the bat, like they were just tossing in different like really popular characters from from 3 and Alpha, and like what really like annoyed me was that like two like really good characters that were popular in 3 were not even included. What was his name? Yun and Urien. They were not even mentioned at all, and I know Yun for sure was like one of the best characters in terms of tournaments. He was always a good matchup against Ken, which was the one game that Ken was really good in, and Urien was also very viable too. They weren't even in there.
Yeah, I do wonder how the decision to add 3 characters into Super Street Fighter 4 from 3, or I kind of wonder how that process went for them.
I'm willing to bet there was a lot of polling, a lot of talking with the fans, talking with people that are, I guess, authorities in the game and people that really care about it. And it's a step in the right direction, I know. And I guess with a lot of things, you can't have everything, but what you do get is going to be good.
True. That is very true.
I guess the good thing is that, like, I'm pretty sure they're not going to go the whole Soul Calibur route and put one character on and have the other character up for downloadable content, like, 6 months later and deny that it's ever going to happen.
Yes, that is yes. I mean, they should have least. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, like in terms of games, I'm finishing up Final Fantasy 13. I beat the game 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of annoying because like you're pretty much playing the story mode from start to finish, and for a split second on the grand scale of things, you're actually available to do some of the side quests, and by side quests I only mean one. And that's 64 different monster hunts, and it's structured just like Final Fantasy 12, where you just have to go find like a stone that just starts you up on a hunt. You have to go find like a strong monster that's out there in the field. And what really annoyed me about 13 was that you can't really do a lot of them until you finish the game and unlock all of your stat upgrades. And it shoehorns a lot of the playability until the very end, which is where a lot of people just end up stop playing because they have other games to play or other games to review. And overall, I thought they could have did that better. But in my case, since I have no other game to play, worry about, it works out for me because I can just finish it up on time and move on to something else.
To get back to your point about how people were shitting on it because it was too linear, my question is, like, did they get past the first 25 hours through it? Because after that, when it opens up, the shit gets real. Like, it gets a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the 11 chapters, no, the 10 chapters up until that part where it opens up, there's always like a new tutorial or something new that the game is introducing to you that you haven't thought of before, or you haven't really used before. And for me, I was learning the entire way. I had the strategy guide with me, and I had an edge. I knew where to farm when I needed to, and I had all those little different tweaks. But I was fine with just going straight ahead. And when you step on the pulse, hopefully this doesn't spoil it for anybody. When you step on the pulse, like the first couple monsters you see will stomp on you. They will kill you. Game over if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like but like the good thing is like the battle system. Like at first, when you start learning the battle system, like at first you can only do like basic attacks, with one character. But then like, eventually, as the game progresses, you're supposed to learn combos. You start to learn how the battle system works, and the battle system in Final Fantasy 13 is really well done. More than anything, like it's probably one of the hooks for that game.
Exactly. It's a lot more action. It's a lot more action based than 12, but it's not boring. And in the effect that you have to just sit there and let the characters play themselves. They have roles and they're strictly defined, and you can only control one character, and it's okay because if you're gonna be playing, I guess, a commando, it's fine to just go ahead and do that and let someone else play medic, and because they're just going to be healing you before you switch them back to something else.
Right. The thing though is that it's interesting is that this will probably be the last of its kind as far as the JRPG, almost traditional sense, because we've been so spoiled of these West RPGs, Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age, and like I think what is interesting to see is like Square Enix, what are you gonna do next? Because you can't keep fishing out. I mean, given Final Fantasy 13 was a great game, but you can't be fishing out the same JRPG formula it was for the past several years, like other companies have put out there from Japan that seems to not grab us as it used to back then.
Yeah, like over the past couple of years, like there's just been like a really big resurgence and I guess backlash. Like there's a lot more people available to just get up and say, hey, I don't like what you guys are doing. Do something different, because if you don't, I'm just going to jump ship and do something else. And like I never saw that up until Final Fantasy 12 and everything beyond that. People were spoon-fed games, Final Fantasy as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they had no problems with it. I didn't see as many negative comments about the game, and any negative comments that they did have, they ended up changing their mind because they found out that the games are still good. And I really want to see what they're going to do with the eventual Final Fantasy 15 and beyond that.
Definitely. Not to mention,
I think you can.
Go on.
I think you have the internet to thank for that one.
Yes, that I can't agree with.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, all the way up to Final Fantasy 10 or so, there wasn't really so much like community on the internet. I mean, there was forums and all, but it wasn't really, I think, very viable for polling and stuff like that. I couldn't really get the best information now that it's kind of matured, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah, like
It's not really the best way to describe it.
I know what you mean. Like back then, like back in the heydays of internet, like nobody wasn't really connected as we are now. Like nobody wasn't really in tune to what they really thought about the game, and kind of what they all we did was like back then we had like, well, at least in my day and age, I was like 8 years old with PS1, and like I couldn't, anything I could get as far as a video game was like the only game I would play for a shit ton of time, because that's all I got.
Same. It was a lot different when you were down to like video game magazines and whatever was on Nintendo Power.
Oh yeah, definitely. GamePro, EGM. Oh yeah. Back then, you're getting your video game content through magazines, less than the internet. But now, over years and over the time that we've now have a better sense of what's good, what's not good, a better connection of what fans think of the game, and communities built for this fan base for whatever game or franchise out there. And now we're seeing the reflections finally coming to Square Enix and saying like, look, you guys, you made these games that were good back then are not great now. They have to evolve somehow. Like these other Western RPGs, or even looking at Capcom, like their games have been evolving with the times and doing a great job at it.
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah.
OCD. JRPG, bye-bye.
Yeah, Capcom is a real success story. People have been playing what's it called, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 forever, like literally forever. And there have been tournaments left and right, like every year. Like there's always going to be a following of people just bringing up their arcade sticks on either the Dreamcast or PS2, whichever one they prefer, and they'll just duke it out. And it's really good to see that Capcom just listened to like so many fans. Bring more, bring us what we want, bring us Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and they finally did.
I should bring him in. I should bring in my hard drive one of these days for the video game cup and plug it in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, just to see what happens.
But I'm trying to think, like beyond Super Street Fighter 4, I'm not sure what else I'm gonna be playing after that. I guess there's whatever's coming out in May, and I know farther down the horizon I'll be playing Kingdom Hearts, the new one that's gonna come out for PSP, and I want to see what else they're gonna do with Kingdom Hearts, because I got the DS version, or the DS game. I really have not played it. It didn't really excite me too much, and I hate saying that as a video game blogger, reviewer, but I want to see what happens to Sora, because we've been introduced to him since the first game, and I don't know. I just want to see what else he's gonna do.
Yeah, I think this is.
Forget about that attitude, dude.
I think
Some games just suck.
I think this is like the first time in like this past month where there weren't that many big games that came out and that we actually saved money. Because for the past 3-4 months, it's been nothing but great game after great game, and like whether the money to actually get a game nowadays is like, fuck, another good game's coming out, Yeah, so
Yeah, like there used to be a big drought of just like, there's a game coming out in like December, and then there's a game coming out in like April, and then in between that, it's just like, it's slim pickings. There's like there's either nothing coming out, or there's games that you don't want, or games you can't afford. And this has been a really good year, because there's just games every month coming out, and it's excellent.
yes. Just wait until if any of you are waiting until what the next big game after Super Street Fighter 4. There's big ones coming out next month, including Alan Wake and what other ones? Can't even think of anyone at the moment, but like I know Alan Wake's probably one of the big ones coming out next month that I actually am excited for.
Yeah, wasn't Alan Wake delayed a couple months back?
Oh, it was much delayed back then. It was like, man, it was actually on the last issue of CGW. For like the longest time, it has been overhauled for like so many times, and it's just been in the process of trying to get it out there for the longest time. But now we're actually seeing Alan Wake for like after like several years, and it actually really looks good. I've been hearing talks that it controlled well, although the faces are still kind of the old school kind of emotionless kind of face where like you can't tell if Alan's sad or angry. But I've been hearing some good stuff out of Alan Wake, which I'm very pleased to hear that.
That's good.
So
Considering it's from the same people that made Max Payne.
yes.
You don't expect much facial animation from that.
Yeah, but this game has been in the production for the longest time, as we know, and I mean like not like Duke Nukem like 10 years, no, but like kind of just been around the circuit for just long enough.
Kind of like Splinter Conviction and Heavy Rain.
Yeah, in the same category. Yeah, you're right. So, Brendan, anything else?
I'm trying to think, like, as a writer also, like, it feels like cool because I'm able to just play games that I like in terms, and also be able to write about them too, and it really fills in a lot of time that I would have had, and it's really cool to be able to do that. I'm like verbal vomiting right now. In terms of anime, I'll say that I've been a fan of Bleach for years now, but all these fillers that it's had has just kind of turned me off because I'll get really into it, I'll just start following the storyline, and then all of a sudden filler.
Yeah.
Like when the Bounto arc came out, I stopped watching. I didn't even watch it. I deleted everything. I stopped watching it. Went on hiatus. Went on strike.
Wow.
And Bleach is notorious for doing.
I think you can thank Naruto for that.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, back in my high school, it was just segregation. You were either a Bleach fan or a Naruto fan, or you were just watching Sailor Moon, pretty much.
I mean, the Bound arc wasn't as bad as some people came to believe, but I mean, the fillers aren't as bad as Naruto. I'm like, we can at least admit to that, but I can see how people can be turned off by the fillers and the fact that it's taking so long for the anime to catch up with the manga.
Yeah, I can totally understand why they have to do the fillers, and a lot of the storyline episodes really do catch up, and they'll speed past the manga, and they have to do it every so often.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in so long that if I started watching it tonight, I'd have enough to sustain me for months by now. Last time I watched it, they were still on their way to Hueca Mundo, so that gives you an idea of how far back I am.
That's not that far. I mean, they're still in Hueca Mundo, but yeah, you're not that far off. I mean, I have to say, good 20 episodes, I think, maybe more.
Hueco Mundo is the new Soul Society.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because I'd heard that it was some kind of Soul Society king, beyond the beyond, and that was it. That was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, there's this king that has there's this king that this kind of legend, and then they're trying to get the key. At least Aizen is, and he's trying to pretty much be God, kind of at this point. But yeah, right now it's they're in the midst of fighting each other. It's coming down to the last several best of the best, fighting each other off. And meanwhile in Hukamundo, Ichigo and was it the number? Was it? Oh yeah, the number 4 Espada are finally gonna duke it out for reals. And yeah, I have seen a few images from the manga of what he becomes, and all I gotta say is Batman.
Yeah, Bleach is a really good anime because it has a lot, a wealth of many different characters, many different terminologies, and you can really get lost in it, and it's great fodder for a video game if they ever made it into an RPG. I know they've had a ton of different fighting games for PSP, but introducing all the captains and their powers, their swords, their lieutenants, it just builds and builds and builds. And when they introduced what's it called, the Arankar and the Vizard and all the different Espada, it was just over and over again. It was great.
Yeah, I just can't wait for it to finally finish. I don't know. I mean, I love Bleach for what it is, but this anime has to be put down eventually.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Dragon Ball Z and have so many episodes. You literally grow up next to it.
Yeah. Yep. So, anything else?
I've been on the lookout for I call me old-fashioned. I've been on the lookout for Gundam 00. I've been a really big fan of Gundam Wing when it came out on Toonami on Cartoon Network back in the day, and Gundam 00 is just it's a little bit of a carbon copy, but it's Gundam Wing in the present day pretty much, and I love it. It's a couple years old now, but I've been looking out for the second season, and I just haven't found it yet, but I'm looking out for it, and I really want to just watch the end of the series because it's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, Gundam was one of the, whatever, it's like, it's fun, it's like, whatever Gundam you watch, it's always great. And for me, it was Gundam Wing on the Cartoon Network, or no, it was on Toonami, and that was, even though there's a lot of talking, like, I understood it all. It was like my political science class. But it was great. Alex, have you watched like a Gundam series or any, or like one of them?
I got like halfway through Gundam Wing and then I just...
Okay.
Oh, okay.
A lot of talking. That's what happened.
Yeah. Something about it just doesn't quite interest me.
Everybody has their taste.
Kind of supplement it with Full Metal Panic.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. But do go on, Brendan.
But yeah, like, beyond Gundam, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Alex, last one up. Hit us out of the park.
Well, now,
Okay.
after an hour... Okay, let's see. A good chunk of what I've been watching has already been said. Durarara, Angel Beats, Kaichowa Maid-sama, K-On! Some ones that haven't been said that I think are kind of a little bit more under the radar. Ichiban Ushiro no Daimo, which I think translates to like Demon King furthest in the back. It's basically about this guy who goes to a magical school, and he goes up to this, everyone has to pass this kind of examination thing, or it's more of a physical examination. Actually, not entirely sure. Yeah, but basically it tells the people's fortunes. And somehow the thing gives him the fortune that he's going to be a demon king. And all hell breaks loose. Go on.
No, it'd be kind of weird, like, if you got that, like as you were finishing your physical, it's like, okay, this is who you're going to be, or like, this is this is what your career path's going to be, and you get a Demon King. It's like, what would you think at that moment when that happens?
For him, it's basically, oh, holy shit, half the school was going to want to kill me now. And they do. As a matter of fact, on the way to his new school, he meets this girl who's like, I don't know, one of those super samurai, all honor gung-ho types. Right after that comes out, she's ready to kill him. And she would have if it wasn't for the fact that he has, by some amount of plot armor, the most massive amount of magical energy possible.
Cool.
Yeah, like the girl actually tries to fight him in the first episode, I think, and he just kind of grabs her wooden sword, and his magical power goes insane and blows up the clothes. Have I mentioned it's a harem?
Oh, no, you did not, but please do tell.
Yeah, well, he obviously knocks her out and her clothes. And after that, he meets... There's this red-haired girl that actually doesn't seem to have much control over her magical power, but she has this thing that makes her invisible. Except it doesn't work on her clothes.
I see. So basically, like, she can turn herself invisible, her body invisible, but not her clothes.
Yeah, I'll leave that to your imagination. And he's also followed around by this green-haired kind of android-ish thing.
Because there's no anime without at least one of those type of girls.
Yeah. And there's one kind of... can't exactly think of what I would call it. Kind of like the evil class president type kind of thing.
Okay, so, the bitch of the anime?
Yeah, the bit.
Okay.
And let's see, down the line, another kind of edgy one is B Got a HK.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I've been watching too. What's your take on it so far? I mean,
Hilarious.
yes. We have an oxymoron, don't you
It's not
think?
something I would expect out of Japan.
Yeah. It was like, it's like, okay, so this anime is about this girl who wants to have 100 fuck buddies in high school just because she doesn't like being a virgin, but at the same time, she's kind of like, she doesn't know how to have sex. Like she's like kind of scared of it at the same time when she first like learns about it. So it's like she wants it, but at the same time she's scared of it, kind of type of thing.
Not really. She's done her homework.
Well, research is something, but actually doing it is another thing.
Yeah. Anyway. I think I'll just skip ahead to the next one. Alright, Giant Killing is one that I've been looking at. It's kind of, I guess it's sort of like One Outs except with soccer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, basically it's like the same kind of principle. You get this one guy who really knows what the fuck he's doing in this particular sport, and then he just sort of trains everyone to not suck.
Ah.
And then there's House of Five Leaves, which doesn't seem to have gone very far. I'm still kind of making my mind up on it. It seems alright, but it's basically about this guy who kind of is Ronin, kind of a samurai without a master, and he just kind of takes whatever jobs he can. And he winds up getting a job with this one guy who's actually, he makes his money by kidnapping from rich people's families. Well, they're generally assholes anyway, so he kind of goes along with it. The funny thing about it is, the guy that he's protecting at first glance seems more capable than he is.
Ah. Interesting.
Yeah, the main character is kind of seems like a little bit of a wimp. Like he has trouble looking at people in the eye. There's actually one part where he's kind of looking at this geisha, and of course he would like some, but he kind of wimps out and gets away.
Ah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you got a sword. You're in an era where women are pretty much like playthings, pretty much, and you're afraid of a woman. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't say much about it, but yeah, I mean, like, guy's a bitch.
Yeah, he's got issues, that's for sure. And the last one is Senko no Night Raid, which basically I think is supposed to be about Japan doing like Black Ops work in China, except in true form, they have superpowers.
I gotcha. I saw the trailer of it. It
Yeah.
kind of looked like this sort of anime that is based in like in the I'm trying to get my time frame right. The 1940s was it 50s, 1930s?
It's like 1920s, 30s, 40s, something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't really pay much attention to the timeline. But there's the one guy who can, I think, stop time or slow time, or something to do with time.
Right.
And then there's this one guy that can jump from place to place. I mean, not like jump, but like sort of a dimensional jump.
Right.
Think like Nightcrawler.
Except not blue and have like, not blue and not
Yeah, not blue. He doesn't have a tail. He's not blue. He's a kung fu master, though. Well, I don't know if it's kung fu, but that same kind of crap.
Yeah.
He is the martial arts specialist, that's what he's.
Cool.
And then I think there's this chick that can kind of, I think the chick does telepathy, like sort of to keep everyone in touch, since apparently radios don't work very well. And the last guy, I think, is just kind of like the recon guy and can see. I don't know if they've really explained how it works, like if it's something like dolls in Darker Than Black, where they have to have some sort of thing to help them see, but basically that's what he's got.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, and Working. That's kind of another comedy type of show.
Oh.
There's not really much to say about it, except it's this guy gets a job at a restaurant and everyone's crazy.
I heard that it got some pretty shit reviews, like the initial like 3-4 episodes out, and I've been hearing like it is pretty bad. Like, I mean, like it depends on people's perspective. But so far on anime review sites, like they've been kind of shitting on this anime so far.
Yeah, it's all right. It kind of depends. I can understand where some of them are coming from, though, because one character you just want to strengthen.
Ah.
Inami, I believe is her name. Yeah, she's basically. You gotta wonder how the hell they came up with that archetype. Because she's afraid of guys, and because of that, she beats the living shit out of them. It's like somebody took a thunder and then pumped it full of steroids. And then brainwashed her to think that all men were evil, which pretty much most of them think anyway.
Yeah, at least the typical Thunder types in animes so far. Well, some, not all.
Yeah, not all, but I do not watch it for her. If they killed off her character, I would rejoice. And that's pretty much it for anime. I've been playing through Assassin's Creed 2, but there's nothing about that can be said that's probably already been said over the last couple of months.
Oh yeah, that has been talked to death among other good podcasts. It is one of those games I have been putting off until summer, among other backlog games I am going to get to for this summer.
I will say I love Ezio's character, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do remember that there was a part in the game where you find his uncle, and he comes up to ZCO and he says, "Hey,
it's me, Mario."
Mario, yes, your uncle. Oh, gotta love that part.
I love him for his playboyish ways, though.
Yeah. The playboy of the...
There's one race where if you beat it, it's a horse race, but when you beat it, it's given to you by a girl, so you have a little roll in the hay with her.
Yeah.
And then there's this one chick. This is actually the funny part, because he goes to the Playboy thing with everyone, and then like the one chick, you're pretty much guaranteed that that's what he's going to go for. She's kind of like one of the thief types, runs around Venice, does the whole jumping on top of rooftops thing.
Yeah. Cool.
And basically what happens is you get to Venice, you talk to the girl, and, well, after you save her, she tries to climb up this thing, and she gets hit in the leg with a arrow, and she can't actually really teach you. She just kind of tells you how to do it. But you go to talk to her to figure it out, and she talks that like kind of playboyish way, like, I'd like to learn something from you, and she's like, oh, do tell. And then he goes, I'd like to learn how you jump like that, and she's like, oh, well, fuck. Quite a disappointment.
Yeah. It's you.
Yeah, I love that part. And that's about it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that is probably one of the longest what you've been playing and watching segments we had so far. So
Really?
yeah. Oh, it's gonna be some interesting editing in my part for this first part. So, with that, we'll be right back, and we'll go into the topic discussion. We'll talk about the whole Roger Ebert discussion on if art games art and the entire idea of him being a troll. So, anyways, all right, we'll be right back.
Я капля, упавшая в море, за линию горизонта, в лабиринтах самых людных улиц, пуговица от зонта, осеннего ветра шепот, бездонного неба молчания, случайные очень...
Hello, we're back, and after a good food feeding and good food in our bellies, I think we can sit down and talk about what's been kind of been bothering us, or at least what I came up with in the last 2 weeks or so. So,
Don't say filling belly. That reminds me of too many Dojin pages.
Recently, like a week or two ago, Roger Ebert, the old man, or well respected in his profession as one of the greatest movie review critics out there. He talked about this before, but he came back just to talk a bit more about it, and it was the issue of whether games are art. And what he basically put in mind is or what he said is that he does not agree that games are art. Even because this person went out, this person sent videos of Braid, Flower, and what was the other game? It was like 3 games.
Waco Resurrection.
Yeah, and this person sent out these videos to him to demonstrate, like, look, these games display great art. You get more of the experience playing the game, but you see this artistic way how this video game is displayed. You cannot say that this is not art. And then he goes on to say, well, I've seen the videos and I still don't believe that this is not art. There's still something to win. Like, it still has the concept of a game, and therefore it's still a game and it's not art in its own sense. And of course, after after saying this, tons and tons of fans got pretty furious. Like, this is kind of like the fanboys kind of coming out of like everybody saying like games are art. We can justify it so. So, I mean, I know it's all a broad topic, but Brendan, I know you wrote a story on it on your website about the whole Roger Ebert thing.
Yes, I did. I can I can sort of understand where Ebert's coming from, and contrary to what a lot of other people have done, like, I took my time and, really gathered my thoughts on the whole matter, and I didn't want to just be one of the other random trolls out there just saying, oh, video games are art because I love shooting kids on Halo. No. In regards to Kelly Santiago, the person who is behind the company that built and that made Flower and Flow, she also did that presentation that Erbert spoke up again. Despite her explanations on how the 3 games that she had listed were art, she kind of also included more of like a business person standpoint, and she said like a lot of fans are liking the game because they all have like great sales and stuff like that. Like that was like the main the other main point she was making, and that kind of detracted on her statements on how those games are art. And after reading through Ebert's post itself, it's very clear that he only watched Kelly Santiago's presentation, and he probably watched like a couple like videos on YouTube, or just he pretty much took those games from an observer standpoint rather than an active standpoint.
Yeah. It clearly states that he has not played these games, but merely watched them. And there is a big difference between watching a game and playing a game. As a player, or as a gamer, you get more of experience out of playing a game than sit down and watching. I mean, there are times where your friend or whoever might be playing a game and you're watching it, like it looks cool, but then like it's better to be playing it than to be watching it.
Yeah, I totally agree. In my essay that I wrote, the first game that I used was actually Flower, and it's the most basic example of what video games are in terms of art. There's the main focus is the visual aspect of it, and it really is a big difference between watching that game and just holding the controller in your hand, because in order to play the game you have to basically just sway your controller from left to right and hold down a button to start the wind blowing, and like that minimal like contact with the control like really puts you into the game, and it's totally different from just watching a YouTube video of it or sitting next to someone playing the game themselves.
Yeah, I mean there is, but the counterpoint what some people are saying, even watching the what Adam Sessler said about this issue, is that the games that present to Roger Ebert, showing these games can be art. These games that they show to him were not the typical games or the games that everyone is playing right now. I mean, those are the games that the minority play. Not to say that they weren't any good. No, all the games that were shown were great. And they sold really well. But as gamers, we progress from one game to the next. And as far as like art style games, we go from game to game to game, and we go from Braid to Flower, and then to Battlefield Bad Company 2. Like we can easily say Battlefield it could be art, and it cannot be art. But the thing is, though, if you're going to relate that games are going to be art, you have to include the medium of what other art aspects are in all other games, including Battlefield, including Modern Warfare, because there is a lot of art assets that go into these games, not only making them, but the visuals of how detailed each model is.
Yeah, the first point that I made on my essay was to give the reader an example of what I consider art. And after like a lot of research, I found out that art is one of the most inflammatory words in the English language, because there's like a multitude, a million, a jillion, a quadrillion different types of definitions, what it means to certain people, and for Roger Ebert, he probably I'm pretty sure he has a very strictly defined idea of what art is, and if he's going off of that, I can see why he would consider video games as not art.
Yeah, art is such a broad term as far as in the video game space, like what is considered art, and anywhere else too. It's very broad, and it could be used for almost everything out there. I mean, like example I told you, like you can say like watching a guy take a shit is art, and some people could agree, and some people cannot agree. Literally anything you can think of can be art. Math can be art. Sitting down doing podcasting right now can be art. It's such a broad term nowadays. It's like there is no definite definition for what art really is.
Yeah. This is the example that I wrote down, and hopefully this works out. Art is the expression of the creator's idea, emotion, or opinion in a way that invokes a response in the observer. If it's purposeful or accidental, art can be pretty or ugly. Most importantly, identifying what art is can vary from person to person because we all draw different responses from different mediums.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ebert's definition was probably more of kind of from a watching standpoint, not really so much interacting.
Yeah, it was interesting you brought up the emotion part because I do remember like when she sent those videos to him, he did say like it did strike an emotion, but I still consider games are not art. So he was, in a sense, he was stubborn about it, and the inner troll kind of came out of him at the same time.
Yeah, the troll finally came out the brood.
Yeah, I think I remember someone saying the difference was that he was saying that video games cannot be high art for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get into that whole category of high art, and you know the old school like definition of art was something untouchable, something that like was not current, anything that was being creatively created could not be considered art because it's current, and and according to this idea of what high art is, anything out there just couldn't be considered art, and it's kind of ironic how that came to be.
Right. I mean, like, as an art major, like, right now, art, you can take art to any sort of length. I mean, it is no longer of a picture or a painting on a wall like it was for him back in the day. Now you have much more interactive art. You have statues, you have like artwork, still painting sites. You have this live model art. You have all of these sorts of art styles and art techniques out there. It's like it has passed the time of what he views as art than it is now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's also part of why he's taken this stance, because in his day, I'm sure he's gotten a lot of flack from people saying that movies aren't art, because it's basically just a story. You put some people in front of a camera, you record it, and that's it. There's no art to it, but for a lot of people, there is art in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And I think part of that is that because he's taken so much flack, this is kind of like the evolution where, like, it started off with, like, an artist not being able to, like, say painting. Somebody thought painting was an art. Then the painter thought that movies were an art. Now the guy who is into movies thinks that video games are an art because it just doesn't work with their definition.
Right, definitely. I mean, like, the thing you brought up was that wow, I completely lost the point of mine. Somebody help.
It's funny because I'm an English student, and a lot of my classes require going through the basic literature classes where I have to take this big huge book and have to read through lots of established writers from back in the day, and it's kind of like the same idea because you have, in order to be considered a part of the English canon, you have to have like a really interesting, important story or group of books and things like that you've written. Anyway, like in terms of art, like almost everything we consider art nowadays like had trouble getting into being considered art. Like in fact, back in the day, like I think in the 1900s early 1900s, the Supreme Court ruled that movies weren't art. Just by what you said earlier, like it's just cameras capturing what's going on, and they considered that not art back in the day too.
That is a good point. That is a good point, and if you can look back to where, say, same thing happened to comic books. Like comic books were a thing that people say that they were not art. They were just little. They weren't completely art because they were not using the traditional sense of what art is. And then later on, as time went on, people started to accept more and more that comic books are art. Another thing I just remembered. I think this is actually, I'm pretty sure maybe the first or second time where Roger Ebert is now experiencing what every other producer or director for a video game is going through when their game is shit. Like he's getting like this feedback that he has never seen in his life.
Yeah, Roger Ebert would be the worst person to have in a focus group right now.
Nice. Buzzing.
And you kind of get the sense that because movies struggled for about 40 years up until like the 1950s to be considered art, like now that's the end thing now, and what Roger Ebert does is considered legitimate. It's kind of odd to see him like fight so hard for movies, but to just denounce video games when they're trying to do the same thing.
Right, definitely. I mean, we were almost come to the point where movies and games could literally merge with each other, because if you look at it, movies have the same story structure as some video games. The difference is in video games, you were controlling the actions between what cinematic A to cinematic B or point A to point B, and it's your choices as far as what type of experience you have. But it still vaguely keeps in line to what a movie would be. You have your beginning, you have your introduction to your characters, you have your high point, your climax, and then your resolution. It's still there in video games.
Exactly. If you're watching, Romeo plus Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, they're going to be together. You know this, and everyone knows this, and that's set in stone. With video games, with Mass Effect 2, you have the choice of starting a romance with Jack, Miranda, or forgot the third person.
Callie.
You have a choice between those many different people, and the storyline largely can play the same, but every time you play, there's a different effect. There's a different way the outcome of the story goes, and that's one thing video games can do that movies can't.
Yeah, definitely. And they blame us for being corrupted because games are bad. Ooh.
I mean, the closest thing to that is probably like, a choose-your-own-adventure book. And if you want to go to the left, you can go to page 5. If you want to say hi to the girl, go to page 10.
Yeah, I read that. I read those books in Goosebumps. They were fun.
I read a Transformers book like that once. Never.
Wow, I didn't know there was a Transformer one. Alright, but, yeah, I mean, like, I think what it also is what the aftermath of all of what's going on of all this is that when Roger Ebert denounces games as art, there is a strong surge that everybody out there, as a gamer and as a publisher or anything like that, are just trying to say to Roger, like, we can justify it, we can justify that games are art. We really can. Like this kind of self-conscious type of thing, like as if it's as if like Roger was judging our weight, and we're trying to say that we're not fat or we're not out of shape, and we're trying to justify it. So it's almost that self respective saying, like, games are art. We can say that this is it, and to some degree, yes, we can. To some degree, we really should try to.
Yeah, I find that argument very ironic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have people recognize video games as art, do not try and convince them that it is. Let them experience it. Let them play the games. Let them discover what the art from a video games is.
No, I mean about Ebert and the fact that I think we all know Wii would not be his first game of choice.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that we should really be arguing with him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, well, maybe not at all, but like in this sense that we must change his mind.
And yeah, we feel this way because Roger Ebert, is held one of the greatest, movie critics of all time. And, when he says something about, stuff like this, we actually kind of pay attention. But because of that, the one rule we kind of forgot in all of us, that whatever somebody says on a forum, if they're trolling, you just ignore and you move on with the discussion. And I think we all kind of fell flat on that one, and we're discussing it right now. So.
Yeah, well, part of it did have to be said, I think. Because, I mean, obviously, if you look at the direction of the industry now, like Ben said, is the reason why the woman's argument fell flat was because it started talking about sales. And that's essentially what a lot of the industry is now. It's not really about art. It's not really about being artistic so much as it is selling a product.
That is true. That is true. I mean, the video game industry now, there is art in games, but as a broad term, it could be used in many different ways. But in a general sense, yes, the video game industry is a business, and what the money it produces from each game, they have to use it for the next game, for the next production, to keep going with the franchise or move it and make a new IP. They use it was her mistake to making it sound like it was more for business, which it kind of is.
If we want to talk about sales, we should talk to Activision.
Oh, we will get to that in the news. Trust me. The 100-pound gorilla of that will be in the news section. We'll get to it. But
anyway.
Yeah. So she should have. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's somebody in Berkeley or somebody out there in college making a good term paper to this argument, and maybe someday submit it to Roger to say, look at his points, and look at my points. Kind of trying to tell him, not say games are art, but tell him this is what it is. I mean, even your points and my points come to agree on one thing, or my points come to something to where you might be completely different on. It's just as it is.
Well, here's the problem, though. All of these, basically, you can't make a blanket statement about a certain thing being high art, or that a certain type of thing being high art. Like, Erbert has said he does not believe that all movies are a high art. At the same time, we also can't say that all video games are high art either. It's more the experimental stuff. And he probably just hasn't seen any of that. I personally would like to see someone put Heavy Rain in front of him and play it.
That would be a great experiment. But then that falls into what happened with the videos that were given to him, and it was more of an observation, more of an experience. I would rather take that a step further and make him play Heavy Rain and see what his experience is like after playing it. And to be honest, Heavy Rain doesn't take that much just to play. In its basic terms, it's QTE the entire time, but it still displays great quality in art, great quality in the story, and great quality all around. And it would be interesting to see if he could at least play one, at least Hard Rain or some good art game that he'll have a different experience than what he's trying to say observational wise.
Well, you see, that's the thing. He has a standpoint that's completely observational. Now, while he can play Heavy Rain, I'm sure, it takes away the need to learn how to deal with controls and all that, because you can obviously see the art that is going into it just from what you see on the screen. It's basically an interactive movie. So by having him watch that interactive movie, even if he's not playing it, he can probably get a certain amount of experience with how something like that would turn out, and maybe not say that it's high art for all video games, but it's sort of a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain's the closest game in terms of moving on towards the closest thing to an interactive movie thus far. And in terms of controls, like, you just have to just watch the on-screen prompt and then follow it. And even if you don't, the game moves on. And either way, if you don't do it, then you probably will get hurt or your character will die. But either way, the story will move on, and that would probably be a great example of a game to propose to Ebert. I wish I thought of that, because that would have been a better that would have went hand in hand with Flower.
Yeah. That
Getting live.
yeah. You know, and it kind of reminds me of how politicians today are still kind of going against video games, or, you know, corrupt people's minds type of thing. It, you know, kind of a stretch, but it's more of them trying to say that that these people who are still saying, you know, games are not art, or games are bad for, you know, for the younger generation, are the type of people who have never played a game or picked up a controller. We're getting to the point nowadays to where people are getting older, and eventually everyone had at least played a video game of some sort, picked up a controller at some point in time and played a video game. And we're seeing that to some degree right now. I mean, like, look at the president right now. He has a Wii in his fucking in his fucking office. His kids are playing Wii. He plays Wii. He's a gamer. Well, casual, very casual gamer. But it is showing that people today that are critics and politicians like Roger Ebert they are still from the old school. They are still grown up to where art is something completely different to them as art is to us.
Yeah, that's the one problem with you know, being from, you know, a different time than now. Like, when you're in the old school, you're brought up in a very, like, limited fashion. Like, in terms of art, you only learned how to, you know, paint or sculpt, things of that nature. Nowadays, you know, we have computers that can do a lot more technical, complex things that our hands just can't, you know, fathom in doing in such a short time. And it doesn't bastardize the process at all. It if anything, it makes it more dynamic. You can do things that you never thought were possible. And, you know, people like Ebert, they think that the things that they grew up doing is fading away, and it's not. People still want to learn how to, you know, do, you know, proper photography, proper drawing, proper sketching, things of that nature.
Right, definitely. I mean, like, literally, like, Roger Ebert should be saying, like, he should be thinking. Let me put that another way. He should be enjoying the fact that video games today are what started from his era. Without his era, without, you know, beginnings of art drawing, beginnings of what art, what the beginnings where painting were, we wouldn't see video games today. We wouldn't see any art form today if it weren't for that. So he should be grateful for the fact that there are video games today that are displaying the type of art that we would never have seen in decades. And now he is over here criticizing his own ironic statement of what art really is or not.
It just makes you discouraged when, you know, when you get to the top. There's always that chance that you become really snooty and elitist.
Oh, yeah. I think the fame might have gone to his head a bit.
That's like me becoming, you know, very popular after many years of blogging. I'll just come back and say anybody that, you know, has a WordPress and is writing about games is a hack. They'll never get anywhere.
Oh, yeah. It seems like that from his point of view. But at the same time, he's done much great work in his field. And to some degree, like, people do kind of want to listen to him and do want to see what he's about. At the same time, though, he's letting the troll come out of him just a bit.
I think he just doesn't want to bother with the interactivity of it, because if you watch a movie, it's like we've gone over. It's always the same thing. The ending is always the same. You watch it 50 times over, it's the same fucking movie. You play a video game, like with Mass Effect 2, even if it's kind of the same story, the same general kind of flavor of what you're doing, you can still have different things that are enjoyable to different degrees depending on how you play or how good of a player you are.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is all about the experience of the game as far as who the person is playing perceives as art. Now, I can say, if a person sucks at a game and is trying to get through the game and trying to see what this game artistically is, it's kind of hard to get. It's kind of hard to keep going if you're like failing every time and not getting through a level. Then your view of the game is not that great.
Yeah, Ebert came into this argument this time and the first time with a negative spin on it, and the very big problem with it was that as a critic, he committed the cardinal sin of generalizing. He said all video game. Well, yeah, he pretty much said all video games can never be art, and he had 3 examples, pretty much, 3 very recent examples, rather than games that are on the whole spectrum. He didn't mention any kind of role-playing games or fighting games, racing games of that nature. All of those have an element or degree of art in some way, shape, or form to someone out there. Not all of us may be aware of it, but it is apparent if you look hard enough, and if you're looking for some degree of creativity, you're going to find it in those games. And it was a disservice not to mention them.
It really is. I mean, like, he is doing the cardinal sin of generalizing what video games are, because he is not only saying that video games are not art to current games, but we're talking about games in the past. We're talking about Ico. We're talking about Shadow of the Colossus. We're talking about Final Fantasy VII. It was a good game, no matter what. We're talking about other great games in the past that have revolutionized the gaming industry and has put it forward to what it is now today. He has not seen or played any of these games, given the graphics are out of date, but still, it is a great example of what a game story, a game art displays during that time, and also on how it affects the person.
Well, there's a problem with that, which is the idea of going back to these games is kind of like I've gone over. He's not an interactive guy. He watches movies. He just watches them. He doesn't interact with them. He doesn't try to think, okay, what if it went this way? Or at least not in the same way that one of us would to a video game.
True.
To say that he is going over he's skipping these things, he can't really go from that experience, because we all had that because we were there. We were already in that mindset of interacting with things, interacting with the game. And also, you can't really go by graphics or just gameplay in general, because some of those things were based on what they could do.
Right, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go into...
Okay. I'll just pop in Transformers 2 right now, and I know from the start that I'm supposed to root for the Autobots because they're the good guys. They're supposed to defend the Earth from the Decepticons. We hate Megatron. We hate all of them. Unicron, anybody. We hate all those guys because they're posing a threat to humanity, to everybody. I don't have a choice in the matter. And if I try to not like it, if I try not to like the Autobots, then I seem like the weird guy. Whereas, video games, you have an infinite possibilities on how you can interpret any event in the game. Like in Final Fantasy VII, I had the perfect chance to not like the hero because reason A, B, and C, and I had the reason to like Sephiroth because he was a badass, and Cloud was sad throughout the whole game, and he lied to everybody about his personality. I was able to do that, and the same goes for any kind of video game nowadays. That's with Western RPGs. That's the point. Everyone has their own interpretation. Everyone can have their personal reason for liking the game or disliking the game or disliking the story.
All right. Okay, so closing thoughts on what Roger Ebert said and kind of what your view of it is?
I think he's just going through the same shit that he he was put through before with all this movie crap. There's no real good way of explaining it. He's just going through the same old motions.
So,
I think Roger Ebert has been criticizing things for many years, and he thinks that he can apply the same theories that he's been doing to another medium that he has no experience in, and as a critic that's wrong. And no one should ever say that an entire category of anything, entertainment, art, what have you, isn't legitimate or isn't as good as something else.
and literally, this argument can go on for hours on end. But we'll stop it for now until the next time Roger says something about Games Are Not Art Part 3. So, with that,
I think we can end this with just saying that there is nothing that he can really say to completely demoralize anything because he hasn't interacted with the game, with any game.
it is true. And also, it matters to what everybody experiences who have played the game and not people who have not played a single game or observed it. Basically, it's more or less, it's who the fuck, who the fuck cares? I mean, like it's more, it's like, it's kind of the same thing where to like, if you, like, kind of like social society in some way, to where if somebody says, you're fat, but then somebody says, oh, you look good. It doesn't matter what they think, it's what you think. That's what matters. That's what I want to point out as my point of view on the whole issue. So, with those closing arguments, we'll take a short break, and we'll come back with the news. And like Brendan said, there's an 800-pound Activision Blizzard Bungie gorilla waiting for us, and yeah, it's pretty big. Anyways, I hope we will be back. Hello everybody, we are back. Yeah, we're back. We're going to cover some news, and we got 4 video game news stories, 3 anime news stories. Maybe more, but I don't want you guys to be sitting there and listening to us for 3 fucking hours. So, I think we should probably just start with video game news stories and just get the biggest news stories out of the way. And that is the whole Activision Bungie signing they did as of this past week. So let me just bring up this article real quick. Okay, so from GamePro.com, Bungie and Activision agreed to an exclusive 10-year partnership. What this is that Activision signed Bungie to a 10-year deal to where they will publish their new IP for 10 years, and that all of this is in the midst of the whole Activision Infinity War fallout. There's been many fans who are just completely just mad at what's going on both Activision and Bungie's part. Saying that Activision is this like the new evil empire of this generation, and what they're doing right now, Bungie shouldn't try and sign up for. So this is very interesting. The fact that they signed up a big independent studio, and this was rumored. This is the deal that Infinity Ward wanted in the first place, but now they're getting canned for it. So like. What are you guys thinking? Because like this, Infinity Ward guys must be furious right now, seeing this deal being made right after pretty much majority of their team is pretty much gone, and reforming back at Respawn Entertainment.
I think even if things go well for Bungie with the deal that they made with Activision, it just comes down to really bad timing.
Yeah, it really does, cause like we're looking at this, and like one thing is bad timing, and the second thing, you can't help but make very similar ideas of what Infinity Ward like signed Activision long ago, having that same idea that where they will publish our IPs but won't own them completely, and then a few years later, Activision's showing the boot to Infinity Ward, and Bungie's coming in as kind of like the new Infinity Ward, and they're giving this deal to Bungie. It sounds very similar to what Infinity Ward wanted, and also Bungie, a big independent studio, kind of in the same line Infinity Ward was. So there's very similar things going on, and people are fearing that what is happening to Infinity Ward is going to happen the same thing to Bungie.
I think they just switched from one big sort of FPS-centered game to another, like gameplay.
My question is that even if they do switch, like we don't know the whole details on this new IP Bungie's making. For all we know, it could be a first-person shooter, it could be a platformer, it could be anything. And they have signed Bungie for this 10-year deal on this IP, new IP they're working on alone. The question is, can you really run an IP for that long and still keep it successful? I mean, like, what happens if it falls flat, like in the first release of its console, of the first year or two of the deal?
In video game terms, 10 years really does seem like a long time, and Activision is a bottom line company. They want money, and they want a lot of it, and it really comes down to that first game, and if they have like a good idea and they execute it well, then perhaps they can stretch it that long, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I just have a very, very gut feeling that whatever new IP Bungie's making, it's gonna fall into, it'll be great within like the first, second year, but then after that, Activision, like the Guitar Hero series, like the Tony Hawk series, even with the Call of Duty series, they tend to milk it for everything that is worth, and it ends up being to where you'll see like 6, 7 iterations of the same game, and at some point, like some gamers are gonna be turned off by it.
Well, if you think about it, that's kind of what they did with Halo already.
Yeah, but like at least with Bungie and the Halo games they've made, the quality is still high and the quality is still there, as far as to production wise. Like the Call of Duties, the Tony Hawks that they've made, and the Guitar Heroes that they made from Activision, have gone down in quality like over the past years that it's been releasing.
Yeah, Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk, especially, they have really similar gameplay, and from one sequel to the next, you can see that there's a very obvious groundwork on what they had, and they just added, a couple new sparkles here and there. But overall, the core gameplay is largely the same, and it's not the same as Halo 1 to Halo 2 or Halo 2 to Halo 3. The quality has always been high for those.
Yeah, definitely. In the midst of all this, like we said, like it's bad timing for Bungie, because of the whole Infinity Ward fallout. Because I think it was at this point, last I remember, like around 40 employees have already left Infinity Ward. There was rumors saying that they're going to be shutting down Infinity Ward after the second map pack is released, which I would not be surprised since like a third of the team's already gone. And pretty much I think will be teaming up with their former bosses at Respawn Entertainment. But what really is going to be interesting for especially for a lot of Modern Warfare fans, is that Infinity Ward has filed a case against Activision for not paying them their bonus money, not giving them their money for all the work they've done. And what they're going after is not only for the money, but what Respawn Entertainment, the former heads of Infinity Ward, are going to be battling for the name Modern Warfare, and whether they get to own it or Activision does. Because if Respawn Entertainment, if the guys get not only the money and the name back, they'll be able to finish off Modern Warfare 3 under their new name. But if they lose, Modern Warfare will stick to Activision. and it's going to end up being tossed to whoever company they decide to make it, which you cannot really compare the amount of work and the amount of detail that Infinity Ward has put into the series to an offshoot company to make the last one.
You know, the one thing I'd like to know is how far back this decision actually was made, because this could be something that they just had under wraps until now. And maybe that's why Infinity Ward wasn't getting whatever they were due.
Maybe there is a lot of speculation. There is still some stuff that we don't even know about. Knowing Bobby Kotick, probably having his way, probably not planning to pay as much bonus money to Infinity Ward guys, even though they were their golden goose for that company. I really want to see how it works out in the courts. This is from a person who's played both Modern Warfare 1 and 2. I hopefully wish that the ex-Infinity Ward guys win the battle in the courts, not only for, justifiably for the money, but also for the name, so they can finish the last one, because I don't want to play Modern Warfare 3 and end up having it suck.
If it does come out under Activision's name or whatever the other company that they assign it to, it's immediately going to be compared to Modern Warfare 1 and 2 and the other things that Infinity Ward, the original, has made. And the first thing that critics and writers and reviewers would find that's different or odd or not the same as usual, they're going to down it.
Exactly. They will know the immediate difference between what, say, a Treyarch game to what an Infinity Ward game would feel like and look like. I mean, if Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 1 and 2 made probably the most money it has been for a first-person franchise since more than Halo ever did. As Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, whatever you want to compare it to. But it's going to be interesting. I'm keeping a close eye on it. I mean, I'm hoping. I think me and a bunch of other fans are hoping for the ex-Infinity Ward guys.
I don't think it's really so much of a problem of if Bungie has the skill to be able to pull it off, so much as this just sounds like a PR nightmare right now.
Yeah, it does. At the same time, Buddy Kotick doesn't care what the hell people think of his company. He outright said, whatever he wants, no matter, what we think of him. Bungie, or, the guys who make Halo, they're a good company. I wish them all the best. It's just going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, whether this new IP will be successful or not, we'll have to see. They've been doing first-person shooters all their company's life. They have done Myth, and they have done, a third-person action shooter, Oni. But, it's going to be interesting. It's just going to be very interesting on both, Bungie's, Activision, and Respawn Entertainment. It's going to be very, 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 very interesting to see how this plays out. So, with that, segue to actually another court case is going on. This from GameSpot.com, reporting that the hang on a minute, U.S. Supreme Court will decide if selling violent video games to minors is a crime. This is being brought up by a Democratic, a Democrat in San Francisco. And he's revising. He's kind of bringing this up to the Supreme Court. The act or the sale of video games to minors, a practice that the ESRB have been putting on, all GameStop or any video game stores to tell them no, the ESRB, don't sell to minors, or else you'll get caught or you'll get in trouble, and it's more or less it's the same battle that has been ongoing for ever since the early heydays of when the ERCB was beginning, and we were getting all that shit from Joe Lieberman about if we don't do anything, then they will government stepping in and rating the games for us, which would be ludicrous and be censorship. So it's yet again people are just afraid that video games are corrupting young minds, when really we already are practicing this already. I mean, like, I'm tired of it as much as anybody else is, and this is going to be stricken down. It has been in the past. It will today, or whenever it's been decided.
And yet they still have not found any concrete evidence that says that violent video games have a direct effect on violent behavior in children, minors, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, every mother knows it because obviously their parenting has nothing to do with it.
Exactly. If more than anything, what it should be taught here is that people need to be educated about video games, whether it be a parent or a politician. They should at least know why we have the ESRB rating is. And then there are arguments saying that, the ESRB rating isn't doing the best it is right now, and they're still passing video games that are violent to young children to play, even though you have the fucking label right on the box that says "M for mature," and right behind the back of the box you see what's in it. So you can't blame us for not rating our own damn system. It's the fact that education-wise, to parents and to non-gamers out there, don't really take time to really understand why the label is there in the first place.
Especially nowadays, when basically you can see everything that a game is about by checking YouTube.
Exactly. There are many more resources to figure out whether to buy a game or not. You got reviews. You got GameStop that tells what's already in the game. You got YouTube. You got all these other sources you can take advantage of. Yet the people who are doing this are practically the people who are not educated and probably come from the old school, who are still kind of afraid of technology or do not understand video games, therefore they fear it.
And the ESRB themselves, they actually sit down and watch every single part of the game that they're reviewing to get an accurate and a proper score onto what the game is going to be rated. And if anything out of the ordinary is in there, they'll either put it down on the marker, or they'll tell the company to remove the content if it's that bad.
Yeah, I mean, we give credit where credit's due. ESRB rating, the ESRB practically is what stabilizes and what I won't say controls the video game industry, but has helped it in the long run over a number of years. Whether it be the manhunt that came out with those AO, but then challenged to be M, or the fact that just video games out there that are like crappy as they are, they still get rated a rating that is really trying to say it yeah, basically ESRB rating, like the guys that there have done a great job and are going to continue to do a great job for a number of years.
Besides the obscene warning or the bad label that is on the game, it's only going to make people want to buy the game even that much more.
That is true. Just look what happened to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas with the hot coffee controversy.
Yeah, that came out of left field.
Yeah, it did.
I still find that shit funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't he enclosed when that whole thing was being enacted? Or like, I can't remember. Like I remember like when I saw the video footage of it. Like the main character was still in his clothes. Like he wasn't naked. Even then, the graphics back then on the PS2 weren't the best. Like they weren't that highly detailed. To say that oh my God, it's porn.
Yeah, the graphics for Grand Theft Auto were disgusting, and like the whole mini game itself was just like, it looked like someone just like put it together in like 5 minutes. Like it wasn't very intricate. The guy still had his clothes on, so like there wasn't like that that thought to, oh, they're gonna do like a little game like this and let's take his clothes off. No, let's just use the same model and put him on top of the girl.
Yeah, I know this for sure. If I ever have any kids, they will be well informed because of what I already know about all this shit. So yeah, the next generation will be maybe better. I don't know, Anthony 2.0.
I wonder how they'll take hot coffee in those years.
I showed them, hey kids, this is what happened back in my days, where there was controversy about sex in video games.
I'm sure they'll be like, oh, dude, you used to get off on this? Look at all the... There's like 3 pixels.
Yeah. Alright. The next video game story I want to bring up is this video game announcement. Like, when it was announced, I was before class. Now, my nerd boner was just all over the place when this happened. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 confirmed, announced at the Capcom event in Hawaii. And oh my fucking god, I cannot wait for this game.
I'll be the first in line to get it.
Oh, me too.
I'd like to take bets on that.
Question is that even though it is going to be interesting, it's going to be in the same, from the trailer alone, it looks like the same art style from the Wii game Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which looks great, and using those same type of art styles for the 360 and PS3, I can only assume that it's going to be just look even better, along the lines of the many characters that might be in it, including Crest Redfield at the end of the trailer fighting the fucking Hulk. That was awesome.
Yeah, and modeling it right after Tatsunoko vs. Capcom is just going to be fine because, Marvel vs. Capcom is a really fast-paced game, and, it's not going to be super Street Fighter 4 like quality in that kind of realm, but, to match with the intensity that Marvel vs. Capcom is compared to Street Fighter, it's going to be just great.
Yeah, I mean, like, people are still playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to this day, and that game is at least 10 years old, like maybe even more, but there's still a huge following, and then such a long wait for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which we've been all been hoping one day would happen, did, and finally was announced. And I wonder if the speed is gonna be kept the same like it was in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Or maybe it might be the same speed as Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Who knows? But people are already predicting which characters are going to be in it. They have like 2 pictures up, and you see the silhouettes in the background. People are already saying that Deadpool might be in it. Dante, Frank West. There are like many predictions, and they even have like a poll right now as far as what favorite character you like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
I'm sure a lot of the Capcom characters that were in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom are probably going to be in this with higher-res models.
True. You'll have your usual Ryu, your Chun-Li, your Ken will probably be appearing in this game. But like the other characters that, because right now it's been so many years since Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was released, that Capcom has so many characters to choose from. Not to mention Marvel has so many of its characters to choose from to put into the game. So it's just going to be very interesting to see who they put in. Just quick, like, who would you like to see in the game? Like, as far as any, like a Marvel or like a Capcom character, like you would like to have in there?
Obvious choice, Deadpool. You know he's going to be a joke character somehow.
Yeah, but he'll be a sarcastic joke character. Be pretty awesome.
My vote's probably going to go to Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh man, Dante and Deadpool are good choices, and I think they might be in the game. But my 3 main characters are already in there. Morgan, Spider-Man, and what was it? Morgan, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Those are my team from MVC2. I don't know. I mean, like, as far as any Marvel or Capcom characters, I don't know. I mean, like, anything they put in there will be fine for me. I don't really care. But like, Deadpool and Dante, I would love to see in there. I would just love to see how that plays out. Cause I can imagine the amount of combos I can pull off.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't turn into an all-out defensive game like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was with what was it, Magneto, Storm, and Sentinel, just like smashing your keys just to get them to support you all the time. Like, as long as it's not like that, it'll be cool.
Yeah, definitely. They already announced that this game's gonna be coming out spring of 2011, which is next year. So they're already in track in either already making this. I mean, like I'm pretty sure it's in development right now, but it's cool they already announced kind of when it will be released. So we'll have to wait and figure out when it's going to be released on a certain date or time.
Guess they took a page from Cliffy B.
Yeah. Oh, but there is a petition out there right now. People want Stan Lee in the game, just because like it's Marvel's Capcom 3, and also it would be pretty funny to have him in there.
Stanley
Make
should
him
be
like
the
a
referee.
boss battle. Like the big guys in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Like I don't even remember the names, but like the giant robot things.
Yeah, an oversized Stan Lee. Oh.
Just like standing off to the side, like through some sort of dimensional portal with a pen.
Dude, it'd be awesome. It'd be funny if you could like say like if he's an actual fighting character and all he does is like throw comic books at you, or like has a special to where like he'll like summon every Marvel character he made and just like annihilate you.
No, like speed drawing obstacles. Like speed drawing a bomb on top of somebody.
Oh, I
He
didn't.
could pop out. He could pop out like the guy from Mortal Kombat and just be like, "Toasty!"
But like he'll be like saying like I don't know like welcome true believers or something like that. It would be interesting. It is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait for this game. So we'll keep an eye on it. So yeah.
You know, it would be great though if there was a special kill move where you could summon the guy from Mallrats to come and kick some nuts.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
That would be hilarious, but I'm sure it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So, now moving on to the anime side. A news story reported on our own website. Code Geass Gaiden. This not the sequel, but like another iteration of Code Geass anime has been announced. As they have announced as of what was it? I want to say the 22nd. It was late April, but it was kind of announced earlier, but not officially till later on in the month. But it's the storyline in this version so far, what I at least have researched, is that this is going to be like the art style is going to be still the clamp art style is still going to be there. It's being developed by another company making the anime of this series, and it's taking place like this kind of like a side story to the events of Code Geass R2, like kind of like it's like if you look at Call of Duty Big Red 1, kind of compared to the what's going on with the main Call of Duty game. It's kind of the same vein of pretty much a side story going on, except it's like a unit that is in a European warfare unit is being sent to pretty much to a suicide mission, but they got to find a way to battle through the the problem that they're at out of it. So I don't know if it's going to be where we're going to be seeing it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like a new view. It's going to be an interesting view to Code Geass, what it was, and kind of see what through like the soldier's eyes of what was going on.
Definitely interesting. Wasn't Code Geass R3 announced recently also, or am I behind?
This is Code Geass Gaiden. It's sort of the R3 kind of deal, except it's not really R3. It's like R2.5. It's a side story pretty much. There have been talks about possibly doing some more anime series off the books, off the mangas that they have out there. But those mangas that they also seem to be side stories to the main Code Geass series. well, that and just other type of stories that kind of chain off that in their own type of thing. So, I mean, more Code Geass, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll watch some more. I mean, I watched Code Geass 1 and 2.
I guess when I get down to watching it, I'll have more things to get on.
Yeah. Should be interesting. Yeah. It's cool that, some, and it's gonna be interesting the fact that it's gonna be developed by a different anime studio than Clamp was. The characters will still have the same art style as Clamp has. Clamp's letting out their art assets to this company, but it's gonna be interesting to see how their take is on the side story of the Code Geass kind of universe they created.
I have no interest.
Yeah. It was kind of funny actually. Like the other day, I downloaded this video of it was Code Geass, like Lelouch's birthday, and it was like a picture drama video. But it was interesting for the fact that it was like talking to the viewer. So I was like assuming that I was watching this like I think this video was like released in a movie theater because like it kept talking about everybody, say these lines or something like that. I was like kind of tripping out for a bit, but yeah, it was just like it's like this was for a kids grow up show like Dora, or was this released in theaters for people to watch? I don't know, but yeah.
Maybe it was meant to be a teaser for this Gaiden crap?
No, it wasn't very much of a teaser. It felt kind of like an OVA in a way, because like at the end of the episode, like Lelouch, Shirley, Cece, and Rolo disappear, and they finally realize like, oh, it's December 5th. This is Lelouch's birthday, and it's like a year or two after the whole events of Code Geass R2 finished. So like yeah, it was cool, but it was just kind of weird. It was like talking to the kind of breaking the fourth wall in a way. Okay, so man, there's been a lot of attacks on as far as what we love recently. A story that we wrote up on our website, thanks to Snako Complex. Tokyo Lolly Band proposal also includes Evangelion. What is going on in Japan right now is that there is a proposal that this small interest group is making to ban all lolly anime and manga content, whether it be sexual or not. And what this kind of happens is that if this ban is almost the same as far as like what a video game industry is going through with people trying to ban like certain things, or like trying to ban video games from minors. It's in the same vein as that, except this is concerned anime. And last I checked, there's a lot of underage anime, characters in a lot of animes today, which would pretty much cut out like a good third or fourth of it if it really passes.
This is really ridiculous.
It really is, because like basically they wanted to ban anything resembling an underage girl, which sometimes like when you're watching animes, like you don't know the character's age at the moment. Like the character like Yoko from Gurren Lagann, she has the body of an 18-year-old, yet she's 14. It's like sometimes you can't really find these things out till later on. But even then, like you can't ban just lolly anime and lolly sexual stuff in it, because as far as the anime industry is concerned, and Japan is concerned, is that a lot of what is out there, like as far as an anime, because like there's all sorts of anime styles and anime things that are going on. You can't really put a ban on an arts. It's the same thing as the video game argument for over here, where like you're trying to ban an art form, which you really can't. It's over here is unconstitutional. Over there, it's if last I remembered, anime and mangas are help keeping Japan's economy going.
Yeah, and another standpoint on this is, when animes include like information like age and height, like minuscule things like that about characters, it's meant to get the viewers to connect to the characters. Like a lot of children watch anime back there, and a lot of children watch anime here. And when they see kids, doing all these extraordinary things, depending on the storyline, depending on the anime, it makes them feel a lot more connected than watching some 20-something save the world, because it's not the same thing.
Definitely.
And I used to watch Gundam Wing back in the day, and I thought those guys were like probably like 18-something years old. And I went on and looked them up later on, and it turns out they're like they're barely 15.
Yeah, like, Gundam Wing is a perfect example to where it took an adult theme anime and they ran with it, and it had this very political sense of what pacifism really is, and the wars of what really is going on, and the kind of like the connections what everybody has to the war and to each other. Like it was really this adult theme anime, and you find later that they're like 14, 15 years old, which I think realistically, I think they just throw that shit at the very last minute just to say just to appeal to like the teen ages. But like this is a ludicrous ban that they're trying to pass in Japan. I think it will be struck down. Hopefully, I mean, like hopefully they can see this and say, look, people know, when to watch this shit or not. I mean, anime is like the movie industry and like the video game industry. There are all sorts of types of anime. There are different types for kids, for adults, for people who want to sit down and watch for 5 minutes. There is all sorts of types. Like, you can't ban just because you see sexual content for underage girls that are going on. I mean, like, majority of animes, sure, some of them can be a bit perverted, but they don't go the whole 100 yards. Then you'll fall into the hentai area, which they pretty much enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah, and in anime, that's sometimes that's the convention, to be a little titillating, but not all the way like you want. Because if you do want that kind of thing, there's a whole wealth of hentai out there. Why don't they go after that before they go after the actual anime that has storylines and things that we pay attention to?
Definitely. Oh, and also to add to this story, they also are trying to look into adding in condemning scenes of violence against women. Or incest, or any additional thing that is to underage characters, which, if that is the case, what they're trying to add in, that's kind of pretty much another third of the anime that is out there. Because there are a lot of animes where the female character is the main character, and she does get beaten up, and later on, whatever the story may be, she does get hurt, and she does emotionally or physically. And that's kind of, a third of what's already out there. It's pretty much at this point, I think this ban is almost trying to say that it wants to ban anime in general.
Yeah, I don't think that any of this crap is going to work.
Yeah, even like, I'm pretty sure many fans have responded to this in Japan. The otakus in Japan are far more better. They're far more very reactive over there than over here. But let me just read you a few quotes when the questions that were answering or asking the guys that were trying to put this ban up. So here it is. So one otaku asked, will scenes with fictional youths being naked, bathing, or otherwise be included in the ban? No response. 3 dots. He comes back with some examples of what not be included. So they say that doorman Shizaku getting naked into the bath. And they also put in Evangelion, nude scenes of Rei or Asuka. Later, a bit of contradiction caught them. What do you mean by sexual activity and activity resembling sexual activity? Sexual activity means sex. Activity resembling sexual activity means things close to sex, such as patello, masturbation, and anal sex, etc. Ordinary nudity or kissing is not considered sexual activity. Activity resembling sex, like 2 naked people lying on top of one another, is not considered sex. The contradiction is right there. Like, these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing as far as like trying to put this ban up. They're just trying to put this ban up because they fucking saw lolly underage shit and they're like, holy fuck, what is going on in this industry? Again, it's just more of parents not, being educated on what is out there. It's the same thing over here in the video game industry as far as, people trying to ban video games and not understanding the content of what it is. So it's Japan and us, we're going through some political times right now, but more than likely, hopefully, if they realize that this is actually helping their economy, to pass like not pass this at all and just reject it like altogether. I mean, there have already been a slew of responses from the big name publishers in the manga industry and big companies in the anime industry, including KyoAni, the guys who made Haruhi. So there's a big response in Japan right now to this entire ban.
Yeah, this is not going to stand. No way in hell. That's the main reason why a good chunk of people, at least, watch anime, because it's not the same as, like, say, a movie or Hollywood or any kind of crap. They have to really worry about the rating systems. They kind of have the freedom to just kind of go wherever the hell they want to, as long as they don't specifically show sex. And even then, sometimes they do have a little bit of area to play there.
Yeah, I mean, like, and there are many types of animes out there, whether it be adult, for kids, for teenagers. You have a whole slew of a library you can choose from. Yeah, like, people should really learn, like, all anime is not like this. Not all anime has underage kids get into sexual situations. There are like other great animes. Even if there are some underage kids that are like 14, 15 fighting in big ass mechs, like regardless of that, like you have to look at it in a whole and look what this is really helping Japan's economy, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, and also a big part of some stories are that one of the characters has been raped. So it's like, yeah, you can say they were, but if you can't well, obviously not to show it in a sexual manner, but to show it in the fact that it happened, that it is something disgusting that happened to this character, and that's possibly why they're completely fucked up.
Yeah, like they are studying up the story to what a director would do for a movie. Like, it's basically the same lines of people not understanding what anime really is, and kind of just seeing it and being afraid of this, and they kind of wanted to just ban it altogether just because they saw something that thought was wrong.
It's a classic case of stereotyping. You see like one or two like just really bad examples, and you apply it to an entire category. And, every time you stereotype something, you assume that the same thing applies to everything, and it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this won't pass. And hopefully, if they're smart up there, they'll strike it down. I'm pretty sure it will be stricken down just for the fact there's a ton of factors affecting Japan with this economically. But we'll have to wait and see.
Do they have the same kind of rules against, like, hate crimes and stuff like that?
Oh, I'm sure, like, there's, I'm sure they have a rules against hate crimes and all that jazz up there. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the whole trap thing.
Oh, yeah. I just experienced a trap last night, actually, so go on.
Yeah, it seems like if they have this against lolly, and then, like, say, you have a trap that's, like, above the age of 18 or 21 or whatever the hell their age is, then it could really kind of, trying to think of how I want to explain this, like, show the flaw in their train of thought.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Like, they don't like the fact that there's lolly underage sexual things going on, but then what about, traps that are in the anime too? What do they have to say about that? Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, because then it may kind of turn into sort of a hate crime kind of thing, or like
I wouldn't go far as say it's a hate crime, but it's more or less
like not being tolerant. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I can agree. Like, also, it's just the fact that they're not educated on what anime is, and if they really sat down and watch at least, I want to say like at least 3-4 different genres of anime, and like shown that the different tones of each anime isn't the same, and the fact that there are just a different types of animes for different type of people. And even when those all sexual situations do come up, they have for a reason. It's an artistic style and an artistic choice to display that.
I think it's a little late for Japan to start growing moral center now anyway.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of their dojos?
Yeah. I think at this point, like, they even, like, look, Japan is the most perverted country in the entire world. Face the facts. Just embrace it at this point. Yeah.
I have some examples.
Yeah. Let's not tell the listeners what they are. But I'm pretty sure they can find it on the internet like everything else is.
I wasn't going to, but they are not hard to find.
Yeah. And in a related note, actually, off of Anime Nation news blog, Bang Zoom predicted the demise of anime. President and CEO of anime dubbing studio Bang Zoom, Eric P. Sherman, he posted an editorial note on Bang Zoom's anime TV website, predicting that the imminent demise of English dub anime and in general the anime industry itself due to declining American consumer, not supporting anime DVDs as well as increasing the digital piracy. What he goes on to say is like people are not supporting the anime industry as far as like buying their DVDs, but the contradiction is that we are supporting the anime industry through their merchandising. That's what's keeping their anime the anime sales go up. And didn't we just see in Japan like the anime DVD sales for the fucking Haruhi season 2 Endless 8 era and like went up in tremendously great sales when that first was released, and every otaku Haruhi fanboy got it.
Yeah, I think this is actually his prediction of the demise of English dubbed anime specifically, like over here.
I could see how it could fail over here, English dub-wise, just for the fact that, look, honestly, like, people who watch anime, not all people, but some do who watch anime are pirating it, but, at the same time, they're not, because some anime series are not licensed over here, therefore it's not technically pirating. But people who watch anime do have to go on either YouTube to watch it or find some other resources to find anime that has not been licensed yet, which is some people's only option to really watch anime. But dub, I could see that because I don't see that much people buying the dub as far as sub. There have been the rare cases where the dub has been good, but there is a lot of people who prefer the sub, including myself.
Yeah, for some reason, like, a lot of people just, like, down, English dub anime, and they just hate, like, the English-speaking versions of it. And personally, I prefer English on most of my anime, except for, a couple. But, like, unless your name is Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, or anything else that's being syndicated right now on a network, your chances of breaking into America are pretty slim.
I mean, let's not get the whole viewpoint wrong. I mean, like, America, there are a lot of anime fans out there. I mean, there are tons of anime conventions that happen every year in the United States alone that support Japan and anime and are big fans of it. It's just the dubbed English versions of the animes we like often don't turn out to be what we originally liked when we first watched it. It leaves that kind of sour taste in your mouth kind of deal.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so like, and even then, like, as far as like anime DVDs dubbed, sure, I can see that going down. But the merchandising that people buy from the anime companies, believe me, there are well enough fine with the merchandising alone. People still buy the DVDs. You still get people who import stuff, figurines from Japan, from the company. So there really isn't a need to say, the fall of anime in pirating and in fall in DVD sales. The anime industry is gonna be fine.
I think they'd probably be better off if they got more into the importing side of it and get more like figures and merchandise over here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anime cons are fine. They have, the stuff we buy, and then also, you gotta go to specific places, Japantown and other places. But I would like to see more of an import as far as more merchandise coming from Japan to over here, because some stuff we don't even see over here that Japan only has.
Yeah, you have to like import it or something.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I kind of want it to the industry to sort of succeed, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a kick in the nuts to say that we should buy DVDs for things that Japan can already watch on normal television.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like, did you ever guys watch the Simpsons movie?
Yep.
No.
There's this part in the beginning of the movie where they show Homer, Bart, Lisa. They're all movie theaters, and they're watching Itchy and Scratchy on the movie screen, and Homer stands up and says, "This is ridiculous. This is the waste of $10 I've spent. You're spending money to watch something you're already watching on TV, especially you." And he points to the viewer audience. Like it's
good social commentary.
Yeah, like it's the same type of deal. Like, yeah, like it's kind of like, why buy the DVD set for an anime series when we already watched it? Unless you want to, hear the commentary, which, that would probably be the interesting part to, how the anime was made and kind of put the directors and creators' ideas behind it. But other than that, like, it's that argument, like, why pay for something you already watch, kind of deal.
Yeah, like if a DVD like has like a lot of like really nice extra features, casting reviews, commentaries, concept art, like lots of cool stuff like that, I would consider buying DVDs for certain animes. Like I thought of buying Cowboy Bebop once, and because I thought it was finally going to go off of Adult Swim, it was never going to come back. 2 months later, they started showing it again.
Oh, yeah. I was quoted from a skit I saw recently on YouTube. Where does all good anime go to die? Adult Swim. Yeah. But, hey, the guy at Bang Zoom, like, he has a prediction and opinions to himself as everybody else does. But, I think, anime industry is going to be fine, assuming that ban law doesn't pass. But I think it's gonna be fine. They're just making a ton of money off of DVDs and merchandising alone.
I'm sure they just kind of don't want to admit they're kind of in a niche market.
Yeah, but that's what they said about the video game industry too. So, hey, nerds win.
Yeah, but games are already on thousands of Japan TVs for free.
That is true. Different media, different audiences. Yeah.
I think what they need is get like more anime-related channels, because that would probably help them in some fashion.
Yeah, actually, that would be a pretty cool idea. I mean, like, we only get, what, 2, 3? No, take that back. Depending on your cable situation, like, so you don't get that many anime channels over here, really, except, maybe Cartoon Network, like that, or Sci-Fi Channel shows a bit of anime. But even then, it's only like 2-3 hours, and that's it.
Yeah, that's nowhere near enough. Plus, that's usually like, it can be, I think I remember once Adult Swim was just like a couple hours during the weekend.
Yeah. At this point, Adult Swim is only like showing anime like after midnight, and and in some of these animes it's already shown already. Kind of the series is already over. So the only new anime series that's going on right now in Adult Swim is the new Fullmetal Alchemist series.
Yeah, Brotherhood.
Yeah, isn't that just like a rehash and like shortened, abridged version of the original?
Well, basically, what happened was people didn't quite like the way that the first season ended because it went off of what the manga. It split off at some point. And basically, what they're doing with Brotherhood is they're going and just following the manga to the letter as much as they can, I think.
Yeah, and the manga's still going on today. So, there are there are similarities between this season of Fullmetal than there is in the last one, but it's going off the manga, which, props to them, finally. It's good.
Definitely.
I was kind of surprised that they already killed off Mei's like in the first 10 episodes. I was like, oh shit, they already did already? Damn. But I digress. So with that, yeah, we made it. The end of the episode. All right. So what do you think, Brendan? Your first time being here in this podcast.
It's an interesting experience. I'll say that much. I had a lot of fun, from start to finish.
Glad to hear it. You can now say that your cherry has been popped by Mission Star Podcast. So, a couple of things to throw out there. By the time you're listening to this podcast, it'll probably be a week after we recorded this, just because of, school and everything. But, we're gonna see. Me and Alex are gonna be at Fanime at the end of the month. We might be. I'm gonna try and see if we can get a kind of a mini podcast going there. They got computers there, and I have a connection. I can upload the video, the audio. I'm gonna look into it. But yeah, I wanna see if they can make it happen. Yeah, if you guys are in San Jose, or if you guys listen to this, going to be in Fanime, look for us. I don't know how you're gonna find us, but you will find out. We'll post something up on the website. So
I'll be looking out.
Oh yeah. So you can check out our website, missionstarpodcast.weebly.com. Also check out our sponsors, Anime 3000, Scattered Comics, and My Dark Dreams, DeviantArt.com. Be sure to follow. Well, we don't have a Twitter account, but you can just follow my Twitter because I do put up new stories there, which is at Twitter/Defective Naruto. And you got a Twitter, Brendan, or anything you want people to go off on?
I do not have a Twitter just yet. If I keep doing this, if I could become that popular, cool as you guys, maybe I will. I will say subscribe to my my WordPress at 9999hitpoints.wordpress.com, and you can see any reviews, any kind of articles, anything that I post up. It'll be sent straight to your email. Yeah,
definitely check out his stuff. He's doing some great work. And then also a little correction, like E3 isn't this month, it's next month. I completely forgot. But it's all good in time because by then we'll be all in summer and we'll have plenty of time to do a lot of things. So anyways, with that, any last words, you guys? Now everybody jump out of their seat at once.
Eh.
Alright. Sure, that'll work.
Yeah.
Alright then. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, signing off.